What are genetic traits? Go ahead and think about that for a minute. See if you got it right and look at your vocab. So it says in our vocab, traits is behavioral characteristics or physical attributes of an organism that are expressed by genes and or influenced by the environment. The text that we will be covering today is 714A. Define heredity as the passage of genetic instruction from one generation to the next generation. 714C. Recognize that inherited traits of individuals are governed in the genetic material found in the genes within chromosomes in the nucleus. Our I will be able to define heredity, be able to tell where DNA, chromosome, genes are located, and understand traits are controlled by genetic material. Where is genetic material of organisms located? Remember, we talked about this in the past, but cells have a nucleus where we can find the chromosomes, the DNA, and all the traits that you receive from your parents. In our case, we are products of sexual reproduction, so we get 50% from mom and 50% from dad. Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics. Through his work of the pea plants, he discovered the fundamental laws of inheritance. He discovered genes come in pairs and are inherited as distinct units, one from each parent. Mendel tracked the parental genes and their appearance in the offspring as dominant or recessive traits. Dominant being in charge, recessive are the ones that we have but we can't see on the outside. Mutation. A mutation is a change in genetic information. It can change an organism's phenotype, which we will talk a little bit more in throughout this video. But phenotype is an organism's observable characteristic or traits, the physical appearance. Changes to the phenotype caused by mutations can be inherited. So if we look at the picture, we can see the genetic mutation with the penguin in the middle. He's white or albino, and the rest are what we typically think of penguins. Other things that can influence mutations is environmental changes. So like for plants, soil composition, for animals and plants, temperature can affect. And then thinking about water supplies that can affect both plants and animals. Social factors like the change in gender, size, or color, for example, like crowding, can also cause mutations. Changes to phenotype caused by environmental factors cannot be inherited. This is kind of along with the lines of adaptation and changing to the environment. Okay, so in your notebook, the next available page, you are going to create this anchor chart. So you're going to write heredity and traits at the top left corner, and then you're going to write out the TEAC. 714A, define heredity as the passage of genetic instruction from one generation to the next generation. And then we're going to do a defining map of heredity. So inside of your map, you're going to put heredity. Your map can take about half of your page. You do need some space at the bottom, so don't make it too big that you can't fit anything else on your page. If you need to pause the video, please do that. Okay, DNA and chromosomes. DNA is located in the nucleus, and any offspring inherits 2 genes from each parent, one from each parent. So remember, this is sexual reproduction we're talking about here, where we get 2 sets of genes from each parent. Asexual, it's only one parent, one set of genes. Chromosomes, a structure made of long chains of DNA. Chromosomes are the X-looking things down here. This is DNA, the ladder-shaped item. Traits. Traits are characteristics that distinguish one organism from another organism, and we talked about this at the beginning of the video. Passed from one parent to the offspring. May be physical, for example, like hair color, or behavioral, like birds nesting. So if we look over here, we kind of have a breakdown of both. Behavioral, we have like keystroke, signature, voice. Physiological, we have face, fingerprint, hand, iris, DNA. Genes. Genes are coded instructions for making all parts of an organism, are inherited from parents. Genes are composed of DNA. DNA is a long continuous molecule that contains genetic information. Remember the other day we created a map where we had the cell and the nucleus, and we had chromosomes, and then we broke it down into each part. Genotype is the coded instruction found inside of the nucleus, and usually these are coded with letters. So you can see the example of capital A's or a capital A and a lowercase a. Okay, if we see capital letters, one of those capital letters represents an allele. Okay, and if there's two capital letters, it's definitely going to present that the offspring is going to present that trait. A capital letter and a lowercase letter. Again, the capital letter is dominant. The lowercase is recessive. So we're going to see whatever trait that the capital letter shows us. And then if we had two lowercase letters, then we'd see whatever trait the two lowercase letters represents. Okay, phenotype. On the flip side, genotype is on the inside. Phenotype is like physical appearance. Okay, it's one of our PPs, physical appearance and phenotype. Okay, so it describes an organism's observable set of traits. So we can see everyone's phenotype, but we don't see everyone's genotype. So phenotype is what we see on the outside. If you have dark hair, or in the picture, the mouse has brown fur, has a long tail, that's his phenotype. The genotype would be what's on the inside on his chromosomes that we cannot see. So now you're going to go back to filling in your chart. So heredity includes all these things. Genes, DNA. We put some examples of like height, okay, or skin color. Remember, heredity, we get it from our parents. So from parents to offspring, and chromosome is our other genetic material where we can find our traits and DNA and our genes.